You're back. How long has it been now? How many days since I've come here? It could be a day or a year. I can't tell in this hellish place. There is no sun and time seems to move in weird ways. That thing almost got me last time. I don't know how to describe it. It was evil made manifest. It was a black spot, a hole of nothingness that radiated malice and snuffed out the light. But it missed me. This time. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Sooner or later that thing will get one of us. This journal contains more entries, not chronologically like before, but information. What the author saw while here. I hope it's not true. It can't be true. The ravings of a lunatic would make more sense. But maybe there is a hint of truth to some of it. Something we could use. Let's begin. Sightings. Death is not death in this place. Life is fleeting. To whomever might find this lore, I can but only provide you with one advice. Always move forward. This is what keeps me alive, and have so for a while. If I were to advise further, I would suggest you harvest every forsaken location for anything that might thwart the horrors that lurk within, and keep an eye on the gates. If they open, you must flee. I hope my scribbles have not been in vain. If you find this lore, make use of it, and pass it on. If you find me, bury my body. The Entity. This thing that I dubbed the Entity is evil in its purest form. I find it hard to spot, but I can hear the crackling sound this loathsome thing emanates. Like a deity, it surrounds the area, closing in on me as its killers hunt me. It does not seem to be dangerous in itself, not until you are caught and the killers hang you from one of the abhorrent hooks. I have ended up there over and over, and every time I yearn for both release as well as escape. Pain melts with fear in a most horrid way, yet I return to it. More or less every night. Once on the hook, the Entity takes over, pulling one upwards to something else. The killers. These things differ from time to time, but each acts in a similar manner and with similar human physical traits. But they are more reminiscent of beasts of burden, even though I can spot some flicker of humanity with scars and marks on their skin and body, as if they have been self-mutilating themselves. They even look dead. I fail to see some humanity in them. They are bent on finding me, but somehow they refrain from killing me. Instead, I am hung from one of those dreaded hooks. I keep asking myself why they do not snuff the light out of me. But someone must control them. Might they do someone else's bidding? I keep trying to understand them at the same time as they stalk me. I try finding something that can pinpoint their purpose. I wonder if they might be punished, but in that case, are not I in the same position, being punished for something as I try to escape and find some way out of here? They play their role. Without any diversions, they are like a machine that is set on finding any living soul. Are they without hope? Who do they serve? Is there even a master? I have never seen them rest or stop. They hunt until the hooks are occupied. But where do they go after that? Trying to find some answers is one of the few things that keep me sane. For now, if you stumble upon one of these things, you must run and hide without any sound. The Wraith. This thing moves as a shadow, appearing and disappearing at the sound of this dreaded bell. This Wraith appears to be able to move invisibly. Several times it has caught me without me even seeing it closing in. Often convinced I have my back covered, the thing has materialized right behind me to strike from close range. So stay still and watch the fog. Sometimes it is possible to see the shimmer as it glides forward, looking for prey. The Hillbilly. A most terrible man to behold. His physique is all twisted and disfigured as if by some awful accident. He carries a cruel and deadly chainsaw, which he wields with devastating violence, seemingly imbuing him with a superhuman speed for a while. His advantage is also a weakness, as the loud noise can give away his position, so I have tried to heighten my sense of sound, honing in on any sound that is not stemming from nature. The Trapper, a vast monster of a man with a hideous grin torn across the mask that keeps stalking my mind. The hunter tracks us through the world. His devastating traps are hidden among the greenery. Extreme vigilance and a light step is essential in avoiding the clutches of that miserable, smiling killer. I have but many times managed to get caught in one of these traps, feeling how the blunt spikes grind my bones at the same time as that grin comes closing in. It is a constant battle between looking up and looking down. The stain. The first time that I spotted this reddish fire burning on the ground, I thought I had finally reached the doorsteps of insanity. But I was wrong. After several encounters with this burning fire, I managed to tie it to the killers. Somehow it gives me hope, as one can manage to avoid them if you see this burning warning. Maybe giving me hope is its purpose. The heartbeat. Maybe it is the will to survive that makes me even more alert to sounds. Sight is limited in this darkened part of the world. In this case, their heartbeats, not my own, but instead the killers as they close in on me. I just hope that they do not pick up on mine as my heart races for every thump I can hear even clearer. The Meathooks. These vicious hooks strewn about this nightmarish world represent the true horror of the thing that rules this place, this entity. Killers bring their prey to the hooks to torture them before that twisted mess of claws comes down for the finishing blow. There is still a chance of escape once hung from a hook, either by enduring excruciating pain as you twist and turn to manage to escape with a shoulder in pieces. Sometimes you even might get help from others that also reside within this nightmare. One of the most horrific scenes is not always to be the one on the hook, but rather a witness. To see fear as someone else struggles for freedom is something I wish I could unsee. Limbs moving in unnatural ways and also my own inside struggle. Sometimes I try to help, but many times my fear of the hook grows too big. What is survival with blood on your hands? The generators and gates. These strange machines can be found across this abandoned world. They seem to be some kind of generators, fueling lights. At first I paid no attention to them, but as days turned into months, I employed all of my engineering skills to actually fix one. It attracted one of these beings that is after me, but I also noticed that they were somehow tied to something else. The only possible escape lies behind huge ornate metal gates. They taunt me every time I lay eyes on them, keeping me in as a caged animal. But as I discovered, they can be opened. Somehow these generators are the key to getting them open. As I managed to repair enough of them, the gates opened, and I ran with all my soul towards the campfire in the distance. Sometimes I escape, and sometimes I stare the entity in the eye and wake up at the never-ending fire. Why aren't the killers following me through the gates? I might never know. The chests. The first time I found a chest, I didn't manage to open it before a killer caught me. I got exuberated as something new shined some light on this hellish life I now live. I did not pay enough attention. But the next time I was more careful, and I managed to loot it. But I must grasp whatever I find with my hands, 'cause all is lost if the killer lays his hands on me. The campfire. What keeps this eternal fire burning? I seldom question it anymore, as I yearn for its warmth. I get a few moments of peace every time I visit it. At the same time, I hate it, as I never want to see it again. I tried burning my hand in it one time, but felt nothing. But how come it is still warm? The key. During my latest ordeal, I found a key. I have never stumbled upon anything like it, and I have spent more days inside this limbo than I can remember. This key almost scorched my hands. It felt as if sat upon great power. Everything became so much clearer, and sight and sound hit me with great force. I suspect also that it is used to open something, but I have not had the time to understand its purpose fully. My heart tells me that somewhere I will find a keyhole. The hatch. This hatch I found baffles me, as I witnessed the last survivor being yet again the victim of the dreaded hook. I stumbled upon it, and as I slowly backed away, I finally found my keyhole. With my last strength, I opened it, entering its tunnels, and somehow found my way to the campfire. Now I sit here, contemplating its purpose. Is hope more important for the entity than I thought? Is this hatch just a treat you give a dog as encouragement? For now, I take what I can get. The basement. I went further than I have ever dared to before. I cannot say what drove me to venture upon this journey, but as I am back at the campfire, I will try to depict what I saw today. Inside one of the houses, there was a staircase leading down to this room of torture. A basement with 4 hooks. But not like others that seem much more random. These 4 hooks are arranged somehow. They must have a purpose. I do not know anything about this place, but it felt packed with memories of endless suffering and torture. The smell of blood and bowels still haunts my nostrils. The offerings. I found something odd during today's nightmare. A wreath made of animal bones. Nothing in nature creates something like this. At the campfire, I could finally get some light so that I was able to investigate it further, but I fumbled and dropped it into the fire, and it quickly disappeared. To my surprise, the fire can burn things. But why this, and not my hand? The next day, something had changed. The world differed. My only conclusion is that I was supposed to find this. A simple offering? But to whom? And who made it? Are these offerings my way out of here? The procedural. Every place feels mysterious, yet is somehow the same. Every time I wake up, I shiver with fear for what new nightmare awaits. Each departure from the campfire is into confusion. Slowly, I learn the different places, recognizing features and buildings, but I never really understand the pattern. It's as if some powerful force is shuffling the world as if it were a deck of cards. Maybe we are just pawns on a Scrabble board. The survivors. I am not alone. If you set aside the killers, I have found others. Survivors that are just like me, or at least I believe so. I want to believe so. Sometimes I manage to catch just a glimpse of a poor soul as he gets carried away. Others I have actually told my name. I do not always want to know theirs. It makes it harder, as they hang from the hook. I help them, sometimes, just as they help me. Fear is our common denominator, and we bond. We have no one else. Human contact and interaction soothes this trial we share. I ask myself whether I am better off alone, or if we can come further together. Sometimes I bear shame as I sneak away from screams, but I have equally been on the other side, hanging 2 feet off the ground, whereas I see someone watching from the shrubbery, like a witness. Perhaps it is important to watch and remind oneself that pain is not the only thing that burdens our lives at this point, but also our souls. Do we deserve to live if we were to escape? A grim tale indeed. Something is happening here, but this? What this book describes as madness. It can't be real. The ravings of a What is that? The darkness is closing in. Run! Run now! Meet me here when it's safe again. I'll be waiting.